I'm Slick, Przemek Druzkowski from Druzkowski Guitars. I will walk you through and show you how I use AutoCAD software to design my guitars, and hope you enjoy that. To start any sort of a design, I'm creating sketches either by hand or later on in Photoshop, but also then going to using AutoCAD, in which I can start drafting and sketching and then choosing the option which I like, and around that I'm able to prepare sort of like a design and all plans, which could be replicable and which I can reprint whenever I need to do another instrument. Therefore, like, this is the Draco 6 and Draco 7 models, and all elements how they are going to be cut from each part of the wood. For Draco 6, which you have seen in a test, see the instrument, which is of course prototypes, however based on the designs which come out of here. Drawing everything and calculating everything in a CAD software or any other software which allows for a precision allow me to make sure that, for example, fretboards in instruments like that are exactly measured to exact formula. Therefore I know that how I put it, I'll make sure I know that the instrument is staying in tune. Of course, sort of fretboards like that are a compromise. We all know that industry is a compromise situation, but they are still excuse me, good enough to incorporate them into the guitars and make them work really well and stay in tune, which is the most important thing. So like here we've got the general instrument, all these dimensions, the most important part, which is the scale, and extract for a fingerboard, which I'm printing on and cutting out of a paper, then putting onto the piece of wood, in which I'm then cutting the right slots for a fret. And also the elements of headstock, elements where the locking nut will be, how the machine heads will be, what is the angle on the headstock, where I should cut the wood out for a decorative top, depending on what sort of decorative top and how thick it is. I'm going to adjust this particular element. This also allow me to see how should I cut the wood. So when I glue the wood together, I know that putting this piece of paper over this allows me to be very, very accurate and allow me to make an instrument from start to finish fairly quickly without big mistakes, especially dimensional-wise mistakes. So like I said, this is extremely helpful tool because it allows me to solve a lot of problems and a lot of designing issues before anything was cut or was even bought sometimes, and also allow to find what elements could be improved. Software which is very helpful to present the guitar to the client and to design the guitar around client's expectation is of course Photoshop. So together with an AutoCAD, in which we kind of seen how it all precisely is being drawn, we can also make a visual. So for example, this is the Vendetta done for Aran from Epitaph, and Aran had some ideas about his guitar. He draw me some pictures, and around that we were creating a couple of views of the body, maybe like that, no, maybe like that, maybe slightly different with angles. We end up on something more or less like this, and even in the final end process we slightly tweak it here and there. But also this allows, like in a Photoshop, to not only create colors, because we can change the body color to something different if you want to, say maybe red, just for the purpose of this visual, and see that the guitar starts to getting into different colors. Also clients see it before again the wood is being cut, and we can choose what color we like, or if we want natural wood. In certain cases, like when we have a wood like a decorative top, of course colors will not take any part in this. Could be only like slight hints here and there. For a headstock as well, and for specifics, if we want to choose pickups with the which are uncovered or which are covered, one volume pot or maybe couple, a location of them. Many guitarists, and we had a chat with Lee as well, that prefer very different location of volumes and toggle switches or blade switches. So it also could be customized and shown how it will look like using Photoshop or CAD software before we start doing anything out of wood. How's it going?
Very well, thanks. And thanks for inviting me to your workshop, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming, buddy.
No worries, man.
Great time.
So, tell me, when did it all start for you? When did you get into guitars, and when did you start wanting to build guitars?
Well, it's actually very good questions because it's related to like a points in my life, I have to say, which kind of defines what I want to do in a way. One was many years ago when I was sitting next to the fireplace with my parents and a couple of other kids, and they were playing some song on the guitar, and I found out, wow, I want to do that. And I asked the same day my father how to play this song which was singing. It was like a 3-chord song, so easy. But for me, it was like have a big pains in my fingers. Then, but it starts to getting there, and I kind of found out that there was first year when I was in and out, but then something happens and I started playing more and more, and then I start to discovering more and more, and then of course when electric guitars somehow visited my house for one moment when my parents borrowed it from somebody for me to try it, because I was very like trying, I want it. I just said, okay, I want to have an electric guitar, and that was it. Then I was trying to have the best scores on my final year, and then they promised, okay, you got it, we'll buy a guitar. I did it, so yeah, it was good. So it was a challenge, and I wanted this challenge.
So you got what was the guitar that you got?
It was Strat. It was white Strat with Floyd Rose, I have to say.
Right.
So because I always love this kind of effect when the guy have the whammy bar.
So was it always rock music that you were into?
Yeah, I think so. Rock music was something which hits me the first, because the guitar was the most of the guitar was there. The guitar which I like, the sound of distortion.
So which artist, which band was it?
Well, I think that the first thing which I started to was very obvious, like Metallica, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, all these kind of big bands. I wasn't aware of the guitar world as such, and I wasn't aware of what really you can do on a guitar and what everything means once you play the guitar.
Right.
When you play the scales, when you play the passages, when you can change the half step down.
You just heard music.
Yeah,
I want to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what. And so I started practicing the guitar, and my parents sent me to it's not like a musical school, but it's like next to musical school. Well, actually, in the music school, they have this kind of like.
Where was this?
In Poland, in Krakow. I come from Krakow.
Okay.
Beautiful town, and sorry, and. When I started, we had this kind of music school close to my house, so they sent me to this course. It was like a course for people who doesn't want to do like a full music school course, but somebody who have normal say school,
right,
and then have this kind of extra extended range of playing an instrument. So I learned a bit of a classical technique and stuff like that, but it opens my mind about how you can play on 6 strings so many things simultaneously. I was like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
But of course, electric guitar was always in the back of my head, and I kind of like, yeah, I like this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Anyway, and ever since I was playing the guitar, I started bands.
So what age was this?
I think it was around between 10 and 12.
Okay, so
First time I was like, I was in this fireplace, I think I was around 10. And then, you know, like it was on and off, on and off, on and off. And then after a while, it just gets that I want to do that. I want to play the guitar. And I want to know more about this guitar. And since this time, actually, I start to sing an instrument, not only like a 6-string plus body and something, but there was always something, how does it work? This kind of question was back of my head constant. I don't know how, but it was just, how does it work?
So
why does it
like
work?
inquisitive mind
Yeah,
straight away. Want to know why, want to know how and why.
Yeah, exactly. So I was always interested, how does it work? What's happening? How the guitar works? What is it made of? And why is it made of? Etc. And by that time, I still didn't make any instrument or anything like that. Apart from, there was one experience. Me and my mate were just cutting some piece of wood and trying to make a guitar from something, but it was this was crap actually. But anyway, one day I was walking past the music shop in Poland, in Krakow, and I found this book. There was only one thing on the market I could have found, which was about an electric guitar. Mr. Andrzej Góralski did...
Should we get a close-up of that?
Yeah, this is a very old one right now. I don't know from what year. But I have this book as a sort of a Bible, which was to me like explaining everything about, there are the pickups, there are the intonation, that what is what in the instrument and stuff like that. And I read this book, I think, a couple of times already. It also shows how to cut the wood and all this kind of elements. Until I start building instrument, I was kind of like, I've got only like a theoretical explanation about it. But this kind of like can open my mind a lot and kind of like a decide in my mind inside that something has to happen around the building instrument, okay? And again, still, I was playing in one band, second band, I started studying, and I changed the guitar. I got myself one guitar, second guitar, third, and finally I got to something which was very top end. In this case, it was Music Man, which I have to say...
Which model?
Petrucci 6.
Oh, you got Petrucci.
The very first
nice.
one, yeah. Amazing quality of the instrument, an amazing craft. And from the first time I saw this particular instrument in the shop, I was just like, I want it. And I did it. I got it somehow. Music Man was kind of an idea to have something professional, something top end, and something which was proven in the area I was around.
So was that your first legit top end guitar?
Yeah. When I started building the first instrument, I used it as a reference point. So you've got all the dimensions there, all the kind of things which works. And what more importantly, everything which works for me, because I got used to so much into this instrument. I found it so helpful and so comfortable and ergonomic in a way, and also so powerful, that I found that this is some sort of direction I really, really like to follow. Obviously, that was the starting point, and
so you take an idea that works and put it in your own
of course, well,
the same as everyone else.
Exactly, I had to start somewhere, but not I'm coming on street one day and saying, I've got an idea, I'll make guitar like that, and you have no idea where to start from. No. All of the guitars which I've made so far, that are inspired by people who did it better and who have an established brand or who knows what they're doing. And you know, if you see Strandberg, for example, if you see Steinberger, if you see like Judd and Ross, if you see Music Man, if you see the brands like PRS, it's hard to discuss, hard to kind of like argue with them that they know what they're doing. Of course, there is an aspect in a bigger brands that it has to earn money, and in a smaller luthier like a Carillon, like Judd and Ross, like Stone, etc.
But they all have their own take on what a guitar should be and how it should play,
and especially especially when you see I've got the pleasure to meet Judd and Ross, and I also saw Mike from Stonewolf, and a couple of other luthiers like Ben from Crimson Guitars, and you see that approach from big companies to luthiers or to smaller brands is slightly different, and you can judge it by the quality and by attention to verifying details. I got extremely lucky being in Newark, because in Newark at Trent there is this school of violin making and guitar making, like an acoustic instrument.
Oh, cool.
And I met a guy, Nick Perez, great person, fantastic friend, and really, really talented luthier. And at some point I met with him and I said, look, I want to build a guitar. I want to kind of like do something, I want to just do something like that. And he invited me to his classes he was running. And I started getting first experience. So and
this was 10 years ago?
No. It happened about 4 years ago. Or
4 years ago, okay.
And the thing is that I needed 7-string guitar. I was into this kind of like a music when you have a lot of like low end sound as well. And I said, okay, either I'll buy something and I'll have it, or I will build something and maybe learn something about that more. And it was this kind of like a hint which decided, okay, I'm going to do that. In the same time as well, I give my music man to do a fret level to another guy, Martin Harrison, who is a luthier who lives near he used to live near Newark. I met with him and he was from the other direction, the guy who gave me a lot of tips and hints about an electric guitar. And when I saw his workshop, I was like, I want to do that. You mean? And it's kind of like the idea was growing up stronger, and this is what I had in the back of my head for ages.
So through meeting these luthiers and going to their workshops, it inspired you.
Exactly, and this kind of I said, okay, I want to do that. And I decided, okay, I'm going to buy this wood. I consulted with both of them many aspects of an instrument. How I wanted. Of course, I've got this idea, I want to make the best ever, blah, blah, blah. But without having lots of tools, without having experience at all, being just a player, I don't say just a player is something to depreciate.
And he's a very good player, by the way. You'll see that later.
Okay, thank you. But saying being just a player, not being a luthier, I've got different sort of expectation, imagination about how the guitar is being built and what is this, all elements which makes it. So that's how it happens. And I built first one. When I built first one, I strive to start building another one, and strive forward building another one, and another, and I was buying the tools. When I built my first one, I was just thinking, should I buy this router or no? Should I buy this router? With the second one, I didn't have even a thought, should I or shouldn't I? I just bought the tool.
I want that router. I need that router.
I need that router. I've got the reason I need it. I bought it, I have it still. But more important than router itself is the blades and this kind of router cutter.
Yeah.
If you have the right cutter, then you can do a magic with it. If you haven't got the right one, forget about this, So that's how it looks. So I bought it and I started building up my tool base. Tool base, buying the saw, buying this kind of like a plunge drill and planer thickness sizer, but I still use standard British-made proper Stanley old school because in certain cases, you want to have this final precision touch to the joint, and then it happens.
So all your instruments that you make now are completely handmade.
Well, apart from the fact that I use a drill router.
No, but this you're using your hands.
Yeah,
you haven't got a CNC machine.
I don't have a CNC machine. Cutting out the body and doing all the routing when you do this on your own, it takes a time. I'm not saying it's a lot, but it still takes time. In which having a CNC machine, you probably will be able to do this. Not only not repeat it exactly the same, but also have it faster. And
you've got to embrace technology, especially when it makes your life easier.
Well, there is a reason why the technology is being like it is right now, and it doesn't decrease or makes the instrument be worse if you do this by using the proper machines, you know what I mean? However, I think that to maintain the idea of making handmade instrument, even if you cut it in CNC, there is still very important aspect to this final hand touch, sanding, details like an inlays. You cannot do everything on CNC. You need to put some kind of like a careful time on your own, and it will help me to cut the bodies and necks faster. But I will still be working using hand plane and stuff to make a proper joint. You use a jointer, but having this plane and you can get to this right surface allows you to create joint which is even better.
So
I think that's very important.
So from meeting these luthiers and visiting their workshops and doing these courses, how long a journey was it before you went, I'm going to start building my own guitars?
More or less 4 years ago. First guitar which I sold was 2 years after that, and it was done to a friend of mine who kind of like decided, okay, I'm just taking a risk. I saw what you've done and I think, okay, let's do it. I did it.
And what sort of guitar was that?
It was Vendetta, which I shown on the video, on the on the Photoshop job.
Okay.
Aran
That's kind of like the Gus G sort of style guitar.
Yeah, actually he's a fan of this guy anyway. And the Gus G or the Explorer or Kelly by Jackson, all this kind of, it is like a mixture of all these kind of shapes, but we tailored it to what Aran wanted.
So that was the Vendetta was the first guitar you built and sold.
And the built and sold for a custom order.
How did you get onto the models you have now, like Draco 6, 7 and the FENIX?
Again, inspiration comes from the guitar world. As a guitarist, as a luthier, I sign myself up to many websites of all these big brands and small brands, Facebook, etc. It's just following them as much as I can, because all of these people have ideas from like big scale ideas to very minor tweak ideas. So from guitars for everybody to guitars for individual. And in between, everything in between. You know what I mean? Like custom instruments done, tailored like for person.
Yeah, then you use stock range.
And then you have a stock range, which is just for everybody who wants to grab it and enjoy. So anyway, the ideas of Draco comes from, I needed, again, 7-string instrument. About Draco 7, yeah.
So this is the first guitar?
Yeah, I mean, it's not my first 7-string. Before this one I had a FENIX 7, which was an experiment as well. And I also built this, which I showed you earlier, the one with the skull and flame, which we'll see in a second.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Draco 7 was an instrument which is kind of like the developed process of my previous experiences as a builder and also as a guitarist. And I needed an instrument which has fairly narrower neck and also fairly thin neck, but as well was equipped with a Floyd Rose type of a tremolo and 2 powerful pickups. And also I use only like a volume, I don't use a tone, and just a 3-way switch. The location of this 3-way switch comes purely from where I had it in Music Man guitar, and I found it very helpful and the way how I worked it. So whenever I'm playing, I can quickly change the pickup without worrying about it.
So this guitar was designed for you, basically.
Absolutely for me.
Your requirements, what you needed.
Exactly. And once I started testing it, I found out that this instrument really works well. And not only that, when we played the gigs with Aonia, we also met other bands, and I had a chat with other guitarists, just giving them for try. And I received quite positive feedback about this instrument. So I kind of developed the Draco, making the final Draco being bit more wood here and slightly more sharper edges, horns.
Yeah,
and
horns.
That's pretty much the difference.
A bit like what you said, a bit more like the RG style.
Yes, a
little
bit more like RG style, because this one has a more Strat style, which is okay. I still think that the sharper will be more aggressive, more Draco, more Dragon, stuff like that. But I, for example, changed the shape of this element here and also changed the shape of the back of that.
Is it the same width?
No. Draco 6, which you had for test. totally different wood, and I did it for a purpose. Just want to have a slightly brighter sounding instrument.
Because that has the walnut top and ash wings.
Exactly, ash wings, and also more maple ones here in this instrument. We've got mahogany.
Check it out.
Yeah. Mahogany wings, walnut, mahogany, and maple ply neck. The same like in this example which we have here, which I'm building for a customer, which is a 6-string Draco. So it is the same type of a wood. We have a...
Show to that camera.
Okay, we've got here again like a maple on the sides, mahogany, and a walnut in the middle. This you can see the truss rod was installed already, so it's, and also the headstock starts to get in shape. It's under the right angle.
So that's a neck for a Draco 6.
That's a neck for a Draco 6, which will be very close copy to Draco 7, but with the Draco 6 shape of the body which you have had for tested. But of course using the same type of a wood like it is in the prototype in this instrument. So
show camera 2.
So with the tamarind top and the Fijian mahogany wings, body wings.
The tamarind top, you say?
Tamarind top. This is the tamarind top. We've got it here as well. Thank you, which will be ready for cut and for anything else. It's a beautiful piece of wood which has a very nice texture, very decorative texture, and also as a wood, it has fairly like a... Now it doesn't sound as it should be. Yeah, come in, exactly. It sounds very dry and dead, but believe me, it's not. When it's connected with everything like with this instrument, it will create beautiful top-end sound added to the whole frequency of everything else. So yeah, that's it. So that's the Draco prototype comes from, and over this instrument, which is a prototype, the Draco 6, which we've tested, is like a development, and that's how it probably stays for a long time, unless somebody wants to have a different aspects, like different location of switch and volume, or maybe different.
So basically, you build that guitar as your sort of stock custom guitar.
Yeah.
And then if someone sees it and wants to change a few things to the way they'd like it, you can do that for them.
Yes, absolutely. Within the, of course, range. I want the headstock to stay as it is. I love the shape of the harp headstock.
Yeah. I like the cutout that you put into the back of that.
Yeah.
Or in the top of it even.
And also, thank you. And also the shape of the body. But a couple of little things like what sort of bridge, if you want her hardtail bridge, multi-scale guitar with the bridge, which would be of course individual single bridge for a string, slanted or standard pickups, subject to availability.
What pickups are they in there again?
These are DiMarzio, again, it's a crunch lap and liquefier. I love the sound of those two. I have, however, moved the reverse it, so it's like the bar is on this side. I want to have slightly harsher sound up to that, not as harsh as the Activator, for example, but with this kind of like a beefy punch there as well. And when I put it in the version as it should be, I found out it was okay, it was well rounded, but here, for me, it sounds slightly more harsher, which is my personal preference. Again, I hear it that way, and I hear it through my amplifier and everything like that way, but everybody else can have a slightly different experience. So choosing the pickups is a very individual aspect to what you want. But they will be slightly tuned with an instrument as well, so we have like a lot of like a low end and mid-range sound, and the pickups, they are like that as well. So altogether, it's like a tuned machine, which, as I found out so far, works really, really well.
Yeah. So the Draco 7's got 24 stainless steel frets, jumbo frets in that.
Yeah. I like
Did you?
big ones.
Is that your preferred choice of fret?
Yeah.
Rather than nickel or anything like that.
Stainless steel frets, they last longer, and they are creating slightly brighter sound. Those two aspects kind of like drives me into them more. And also, I have to say that Advanced Guitar Center, who I'm cooperating with, allow me to get them in a bigger bunch, so the easiestness to getting there is also helps.
Right.
However, because I built guitar for myself, this one, and I wanted to have something which will be very defined and specific, which I think I achieved a lot in this instrument. The stainless steel Hosco frets was the right choice. And right now, after playing this guitar over a year, rehearsals, gigs, and everything like that, and practicing on it, I found out that indeed they are not worn at all. They are very hard in that.
No flat spots, no
flat spots.
They're just still like brand new.
They still like brand new, you know. And seriously, it is kind of like you can say that the quality is there in these frets, the metal, the steel, the stainless steel, the hard steel, which is there. And yeah, I'm really pleased with that. So unless somebody wanted different frets in the guitars, I will be aiming to install stainless steel frets. I know I'll have to spend probably hour or 2 hours to finish them, like crown them and then level them.
Yeah, you're just making more work for yourself.
Yeah, but at the same time, I know that somebody will have a guitar which will not need any kind of work like leveling them up that fast.
Right.
That also has a kind of like a quality element, because if there is a guitarist who has a guitar and after 2 years he has to give them to re-level the frets, it's like, okay, and then next 2 years he has to replace the frets because they are too low now. So
obviously, I guess you get intonation problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, intonation
quicker.
Quite quickly, and then buzzing, which will be all over the place, which you don't want to have in a guitar.
You went stainless steel.
So I decided that, however, it gives me more work, I'd rather have something which is more reliable, and you don't want to just worry about this, because it kind of loosens the... You start to have a buzzings here and there, you start to have stuff which, not in a custom guitar.
No. So can you tell us something about this guitar?
Yes,
this looks very interesting.
FENIX, the main inspiration comes from any like a headless instrument you can find on the market. There are great brands these days who do that, and I kind of found that I want to have something like my version of that. So I kind of take in consideration daily designs, put them into CAD, redesign them into my way, did a prototype, and tweak the prototype to the level when I found, okay, I like the shape.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you want to like a shape, it has to have something to yours. And then second thing is to make it playable and powerful instrument as well. The idea on that one, apart from the experiment with a multi-scale, which again...
Can you explain the multi-scale for people that may not be familiar with it?
Okay, multi-scale is something which was, I think, developed in 17th or 18th century. So it's very, very old thing. It's nothing new. The multi-scale, what it does, you've got... you have to remember that you have a violin and you have a double bass. Double bass is low-end sound, right? Like old bass tones and everything like that. But to make it resonate, to make it stand out, you need to have a long scale so that all these big sounds can come out of it, and big body to magnify that, to amplify that. With a violin, when you are working on the high-end sound, all this kind of very, very top frequency, you want everything shorter. So if we think that way, that we have a quartet of like a violin going from violin up to the double bass, and if you see that each of the four of the instruments in this family creates different and responds to different range, you will see that there is something about the scale length, from small violin to big double bass, right? In a guitar, to complement the low end, especially when you have a 7-string instrument or 8-string instrument these days, you want to complement this low end sound. So either you create like a baritone scale, which is great for a low end sound, but then the higher strings here start to be the higher end of the spectrum starts to be slightly more extended. And is this high-end sound the same? Maybe yes, maybe no. It's again very personal preference and aspect to that, but you can combine things like from normal shorter scale guitar, when everything here works brilliant, we know that it works, and something to complement the top end sound, so low end sound, and then you've got the you've got the multi-scale, and you're choosing the 2 different scales which are better for each of the range, and everything in between will be like between violin and the double bass. Everything in between, you know what I mean? And it all kind of works. Another very important aspect I want to say apart from complementing the low-end sound, because we mainly complement the low-end sound, and in the same time staying as we were with the high-end.
So the scale length longer on the bass side and shorter on the treble side?
Yeah. I mean, you can choose whatever scale you want. You can have like 26-27 or 26-28.
So basically it's a guitar with 2 scale lengths, one for the bass and one for the treble.
Exactly, and you build them up from the top end, from bass string to the treble string, and then you combine it together. Many people was asking me that could you make me a Strat? My reply to this is ST. ST stands for Strat, to be honest, but I cannot use Strat as
it's copyrighted
and all this stuff. So yeah, this is the instrument which is slightly smaller, slightly narrower in both ways. Yeah. It's slightly more narrow. It's very, very, very close to the body. Very, like when you have it here, you don't feel it. It just goes out. Okay. Has same Strata-like solutions for pickup. So we've got the bridge, middle, neck, volume and tone. The switch is slightly differently wired. Just for one reason. We have bridge pickup. We've got bridge and the middle pickup, and now we've got those 2 Telecaster style. This instrument, it has this kind of like a twangy effect, and it does sound like this. And of course those 2 and these 2. That position, when you use only this pickup, could be wired up or could be used by push-pull if somebody wants to have it, but in this particular instrument I just don't use it, therefore I wired it easily and simple. But like I said, it is possible to have it in this position, either those 2 or this. Depending on what sort of custom option for wiring you want to have. That's how it works. And the rest is 22 frets. The neck is made of a ply again, from a lot of mahogany with just a hint of a maple. The body is made of ash. It's a slightly flamed ash. This time it's from 3 pieces of ash. And
it's a 3-piece ash body, yeah?
Yeah, it's like a 1, 2 and 3.
Okay.
You may see joint, may not see the joint. If you're very carefully searching, you probably will, but that's not the point.
No, that's not.
And my point was to do this so that it's hardly visible. But in an ash, when you have so different
interesting finish.
Yeah, the finish is. I saw it somewhere again, and something like when you can see different type of grains. But I just loved it, and so ash is this opportunity for me to try it. So I put the green color. Then I tear it down, left only the different type of a green, and then just give a bit of a hint on the side of the green. I like green color anyway. So.
And is it the same body shape as the Draco 6?
Slightly, like I said, slightly narrower horns, and the general aspect is the same, but here it is slightly narrower. I wanted this Strat to be like normal Strat, will be probably bigger than that way. Yeah. I just want this guitar to be going out of your way. To be honest. One of the reasons why the body is like that is again that I had a chat with a couple of girls who play the guitar. Most girls are complaining that the guitar is purely meant tool, right? It is.
It is.
Sorry,
ladies.
Sorry, ladies. And that's actually why I'm talking to you, right? ST is an instrument which is narrower and shorter. When you grab it here, you of course will have some weight of an instrument there. But when you start playing it, you may find that it's going out of your way and it makes you feel more comfortable. When we see on any of the guitar shows, please try this instrument and let me know if it is closer to your expectations or no.
So he's got all you ladies and girls covered, so awesome guitars.
Thanks. Come and try it out.
And what single coils are in this?
At the moment, I used the DiMarzio. These are Aria series of DiMarzio with hammer cancelling system. They are slightly more warmer and
hotter. Are they
hotter.
stacked or are they just...
They are like a stacked, there is this cancel, but they still have a lot of single coil sound in there.
Right.
In the same time,
but you don't get the hum.
You don't have a hum, yeah. And also, not only don't have a hum, but also have slightly more definition on the warmer side of the pickups, which, to be honest, they sound amazing.
Yeah.
They are really beautiful pickups. I use the Goto bridge. Goto is made in Japan from hardened steel, proper steel, no some zinc alloy mixture of nothing, which is soft, light, and breaks quickly and doesn't transfer the sound that well.
Yeah.
And have a powder steel saddles, which again is like a very solid connection.
So high.
Simple bridge, the simplest ever, but I found it out for instrument like that, you don't want anything too complicated. Alternative would be one of the hip shots, which again are made from decent piece of steel, but they are much more expensive.
So is it jumbo stainless steel frets you get again?
Yeah, jumbo stainless steel frets here, and graphite nuts, and again the headstock, which is the design I want to have in my guitar. It's kind of like
that's non-reverse this time.
That's not reverse. That's normal, but it has this kind of like a harp effect when you call it. When you see it, so I call it harp headstock.
do you lose any tone by cutting that out the headstock?
This is one of the discussion which will be endless in my opinion. First reason is that some people say that the bigger headstock you have, the better sound response you have. Some would say that doesn't matter, and if you have a headless instrument, then there is no head, etc.
Yeah.
And some people will be complaining, some will not. In my opinion, I don't see a reason for it.
Fair enough.
I don't see.
Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Links in the description below to the website, the Facebook page, and everything else, and details on how to get in contact with Slick, the man behind the guitars. So if you're interested in his guitars or any of the other instruments he makes, like basses, just look at the description below and get in contact with him through that.
Right, thanks so much.
Cool, man.